Hey, America! This is Brian Lisitson. I'm here with Triple G. That is God, Guns, and Government. This is a show that where we're going to talk about things, I would say all things God, all things guns, and all things government. We're going to look at why God is good. We're going to look at why guns are cool. And we're going to look at why government is a pain. Is that really something we need to cover, that the government is a pain? Unfortunately, yes. So we're going to look at a couple things here. I had a couple of cards here. Yay, I came prepared. Well, somewhat prepared. I'm standing out here in lovely Port Angeles, Washington. Outside, I'm doing this on the hood of my car, because there's just I have to. The show is supposed to be going to a public broadcasting channel on the local public broadcasting station, and we're going to be talking about God, guns, and government. Well, unfortunately, because of Rona and how temperamental she is, and she's decided to be like, no offense to in-laws, but be like the in-laws that never leave. So with that being said, I am outside on the hood of my truck in lovely Port Angeles, and I can't complain because the weather's here and it's not raining. Imagine that, not raining in Washington. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to start off by saying one thing or a couple of things here to all the people who support this channel by liking it, sharing it, posting, commenting, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you guys have an interest in the show and what I may bring to the table, but I don't have this without you. And it is important that you guys share this channel with other people. And it doesn't have to be like-minded people. I appreciate the challenge from other people when they challenge my mentality. It keeps me sharp and it keeps the conversation going. And that's really what I want to do. That's really what this channel is for. It's for bringing an education to people about God, bringing an education to people about guns, and bringing an education about government. Because there are so many things out there that we don't understand, and that we can get so wrapped up in our own echo chamber, where we follow the same people, we follow the same things, and sometimes we don't challenge our own way of thinking of, could I be wrong on this? Is my opinion wrong on this? And how can I challenge myself to be better? And I think as humans, we should always be challenging ourselves to be better. We should always be looking at how we can get better at explaining things that mean the most to us. So these three things mean the most to me: God, guns, and government. And I know a lot of people shy away from especially government, because it's so toxic. It just really is toxic. You talk to a lot of people, and I think a lot of people just don't care about government. You know, what was the after school special where they have that little Bill and he's singing about all the things that he does and how he becomes a Bill. It's not like that. And I think a lot of people want to go back to that because it's so complicated and everything is so politicized. So I'm going to try, as it comes to government, I'm going to try to cut through the politicization and the polarization of government and try to explain what's going on and how we need to look at things. Because when we look at things in a way where we can see truth, I think we begin to understand where we need to be and how we need to look at things. So as far as the government thing goes, I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff on this channel, on this Facebook feed. And a lot of it is going to be from probably some sources you probably don't know, but look them up. I try to find different opinions about certain issues, because I think we should hear different people and their opinions, but I will not post anything that comes across as fake news or that is highly skeptical or questionable. Maybe that's the better word, questionable. So with that being said, as far as the government goes, that's what I'm looking for. Something that is solid, and it's not always, and believe it or not, it's not always ABC, CBS, CNN. I just created a new news channel, CBN. Actually, I think that's a Christian Broadcasting Network. But outside of that thing, there are other places. There are other people out there just like me that are trying to make their mark in this world about sharing what they love when it comes to politics. And I want their voices to be heard on my channel too, because they need to be heard. And you're not going to hear what they have to say when it comes to things that matter to real people. I'm sorry, politicians sometimes aren't real people. They just aren't. They're so wrapped up in power-hungry grabs and so focused on what they want for their party. We need to cut through that. We need to get down to the people, because that's where this comes from. They are put there by us. And I get so tired of seeing people that we elect go to Washington only to see them serve the party and not serve us and our interest here. We send them there to serve our interest, and yet they go there to serve the interest of the party. I don't know about you, but that's not what I voted for them for. I didn't vote for the party. I voted that they would be the best representative for the state as a whole. Even the ones that don't agree with them. So if we have a liberal who gets voted in, they should be representing the state as a whole, not the Democrat Party. But that's not how it works. And we need to be pushing these elected officials back to the point of representing, and that especially the House of Representatives. I mean, it's called the House of Representatives, which means you represent the people. Sorry. You can tell why this is a passion of mine. Anyway, so government aspect of it, we're going to talk about a couple of things, if I can get my little card out here. And it's not always going to be this, but these are the basics of learning government. I really feel that schools have failed our children miserably. And I've been seeing more and more people out there wanting to do homeschooling. So if there's any homeschooling parents out there and you have something to say, please get in touch with me, because I would love to do a show on homeschooling and how people can do this, and it's not so intimidating once you understand what you need to do. So I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway, under government, we're going to talk about the Constitution and what it means. And some of the stuff you're not going to understand. And some of the stuff is going to seem very foreign to you. And that's okay, because some of the stuff was foreign to me as I started learning some of this stuff. And we grew up in school, we're taught, at least I was taught, I actually had government classes, and it was one of those things where I enjoyed the government classes. And then we did civics and all that kind of stuff. We learned how to, write a checkbook, and learned how to do all these other things that were actually life skills. And I don't know how much of these life skills that our kids, some of the kids, public school kids have coming out of high school. And that's really sad to me. So the other thing is separation of powers. People seem to think, as we look at separation of powers, people seem to think that the president, which is up here, he has authority over everything. Wrong. I want to explain federalism. I'm not going to go into big detail here, but just a bird's eye view here. Federalism is basically kind of like this. They take care of the country as a whole. Their responsibility stops where the state begins. Foreign policy, border, safety of the country as a whole, that's their job. It is not their job to run the states. And as far as I can tell, That's exactly what Donald Trump has been doing. He's been allowing the states to run themselves. And if you want Donald Trump to step in and take over all these other states, then you are not a constitutionalist. You want big government. And as much as we want Donald Trump or a president to step in and take over these states that are just doing the most awful things possible and allowing the worst things possible, he shouldn't. It's not his job. So if you're mad about states, then be mad at the governors, lieutenant governors, the AGs. Those are the ones, the state senators, the state legislators. Those are the ones that make your laws. Each state has a House of Representatives. It mirrors the federal government. House of Representatives, state senators, the governor, lieutenant governor, those guys are like, mini presidents, like a mini me. So understand that that's what we're coming up against when we want the president to step in and do something when a state is allowing bad things to happen. That's not his job. He should recommend, hey, you should do this and you should do that. But he can't force them to do it unless, and this is where it gets sticky, unless there's a dereliction of duty and the president could step in, but it's a hard slog to do that. There's a lot of things you have to do. There's a lot of things that's got to cut mustard. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of presidents that have stepped in, overstepped their bounds, and made things worse. So, separation of powers. The other thing, function, and we're going to talk about this because it's important for all of us to understand the function of federal, state, and local government. We've learned in this COVID-19, coronavirus, Chinese virus, Wuhan virus, I'm sure I'm going to get tagged for something, Rona, whatever you want to call it. We've been having such a problem understanding who's supposed to do what. And I think a lot of people don't know what to do. So we're going to cover what the federal government's supposed to do, what the state government's supposed to do, and then what the local government's supposed to do. Because honestly, everything starts at the local level. And you want to know why some of these laws pass, and you're like, I didn't know we had to do that. Well, y'all voted for it. And if you didn't vote for it, you voted for the person who voted for it. It's important. Government is important. Voting is important. Understanding what you need to do to support your community, to vote for people that are like-minded to you, because there's a lot more like-minded people than you think. And they're hoping that you're a stupid voter and you just look at it and say, I don't care. Well, that I don't care means that you're going to allow other people to vote in your stead, and then you are okaying and supporting the laws that they vote for, the laws that they implement, because you don't vote and you don't care. That's why bad laws get passed. You are allowing your voice to support bad law. Sorry, don't mean to be forward, but that's the way it is. I keep looking over here because I'm looking at myself in the camera. Whoop, 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 there. So I apologize. Something I'll be working on to make sure that I'm looking at you and not looking at myself. I don't know, which is my good side? This side or that side? Oh, more gray on this side. I don't know. Anyway, so government-wise, that's what we're going to talk about. Guns. I love guns. Oh, man. I don't own a bunch, but I love shooting them. There was a family in, oh gosh, I'm probably gonna get hammered for this, Missouri, I think it was. Mr. Pink Polo. I don't mean to laugh at the guy, but he walks out like I would with a pink polo shirt, although I would be in shorts, a cut-off t-shirt, backward hat, and flip-flops. That's how I roll. But no, he came out in a pink polo, holding an AR-15 in pants, probably khakis, I think they were. So more like dad clothes. And barefoot. The dude was barefoot. Barefoot. And then he decided to stand there like an 80s superhero or action hero like this. Just stand there like this and just hold his gun just like this. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Now, his wife, on the other hand, if you look up, I think it was Colin Knorr, he did a short little video on this about how what he did was absolutely legal. What his wife did, on the other hand, she might be in some trouble. She literally pointed the gun at them. Now, I don't know if it was loaded. It doesn't really matter. You don't point a gun at somebody unless you are going to destroy that. You don't point a gun unless you're ready to kill it. I don't care if it's an animal. I don't care if it's a person. I don't care if it's a target. When you are on target, you are at a point where you need to defend your life. Now, they're going to go after this family, and I don't think they should. No shots were fired. But the funny thing is this couple, they're lawyers for the Black Lives Matter group. They've supported them. They support Black Lives Matter, and now they're going after them. Let that sink in for a minute. The ones that, from my understanding, now this is just my understanding, they support Black Lives Matter, and now they are, the DA there is going to charge them with a crime. But they're not going to charge the people with a crime that busted through a gate and it was 300 people? I don't know about you. I don't know if you guys can see down here. But if I saw 300 people coming up my driveway, you guys think I'm just going to sit back and not do nothing? If you think that, you guys don't know me very well. They were in a residential neighborhood. 300 to 500 people came pouring through there. This couple said that they saw people with weapons in the crowd. Now, you're never going to see that because no one's going to record people having weapons in the crowd. But I think what I may have done is grab my camera or my phone, set it up to where I'm just recording the crowd with it behind me, so it can see what I see. And it would have been better for the wife to maybe have the gun in her hand, but recording the people instead of pointing the gun at people. That would have been more effective because then now we can see what they see. And unfortunately, it's a he said, she said thing, and we have no visual evidence of anything that they said. And that's truly sad because I really do believe the family or the couple that they had weapons there, but we're never going to know. Anyway, moving on. So we're going to talk, for gun-wise, we're going to talk about the history of guns, why they're important, and why it's vital to protect the Second Amendment, because it protects the First Amendment, which is what I'm doing right now. So the First Amendment is for me to come on here and talk about what I want to talk about and talk about how I want to talk about it. That's my First Amendment right. So the next thing we'll talk about bad gun laws and why we should work with our legislators to get rid of gun laws. I want to flip over to government real quick. Something just popped in my head. Lobbyists. We've got to seriously look at lobbyists and lobbying, because that's where a lot of these quote unquote laws and bureaucracy comes from. And I would say there are some lobbyists that have actually done some really good stuff. And then most of the lobbyists are just there to spend money and waste our taxpayer dollars. Okay, moving on. We're also going to talk about the bad gun laws that are out there, and we want to make sure that we cover those and bring those to light so that people will understand that, because a lot of people don't understand bad gun laws. There's bad gun laws here in Washington, but at least you can open carry. The concealed weapon permit in this county is really, really easy to get, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. It shouldn't be a bad thing to get a concealed carry. It's for protection. It's not for harming. And to jump through the loops to get an AR-15 in this state, it's not horrible. And I know a lot of people will say that it goes too far, and I don't disagree. It does go too far. The law that states that you have to have in a special class to get a assault style rifle. Well, guess what? They call that an assault style rifle. It's a 22 long rifle barrel. And if you don't think that they're not going to come after 22s at some point, then you must not be paying attention, because they will. At some point, they will. They are never satisfied. If you haven't been paying attention, they are never satisfied. Politicians are never satisfied. They don't want to fix things, but they're never satisfied. We're also going to talk about proper gun mentality. And that goes with understanding when to draw your gun, understanding how to maintain your gun, understanding how to store your gun, understanding how to do things, how to properly train. And we're going to talk to a couple different gun shops around here, if they'll allow me, if they'll want to jump in. If not, I'll talk to a couple of seasoned gun owners or gun instructors, and get their take on a lot of this stuff, because I think it's important knowledge, because this is not taught in school, and there's a lot of poor gun mentality out there. And this is part of the reason why I'm doing this, is because I want people to understand that guns are a right in this country, and nobody has a right to take that away from you. The Constitution says that it shall not be infringed upon. That means not touching it, absolutely, at all. Never. Ever. Because it protects the First Amendment. If there are no guns in the hands of people, what's to stop them from banning you and banning me from saying, God bless America? Simple. There would be nothing stopping them. So gun mentality is very important, because people freak out when they see a gun. If it's not pointed at you, don't freak out. Be alert, but don't freak out. Don't run around with your hair on fire. That doesn't solve anything. That makes it worse. So we're going to talk about proper gun mentality. We're going to destroy some of these stereotypes, and we're going to have people understand and converse with people on why proper gun mentality is a goal that never ends. There's no aha moment, because the moment you hit aha while you own a gun, then you've become way too cocky, and I really question your ability to own I really question your thought process on on safe gun mentality. And I hate the word safe when it comes to guns, because guns are killing machines. And they're a tool. They're not a toy. They are death machines. So that's why we need to have the proper mentality about what they are, what they're used for, and why we need them. Once we figure those three things out, and why it's important to have safe gun handling and all those things, which goes along with the proper gun mentality, then I think a lot of people will start getting past the stereotypes and the stigma of guns that the Democrats have put out there for so long about how dangerous guns are. Well, you're darn right, they're dangerous. And there's a reason why that family wasn't attacked. They were told they were going to be killed and that they're going to kill their dog. You know, killing the dog, really? But anyway, there's a reason why that couple is probably still alive or not in the hospital. It's because they stood their ground with guns, and it kept people away from them. And that's what they're for. It's a show of force, and done right, effective. And the last thing for guns is, if you're going to own a gun, I had a range master that told me when I was in the sheriff's department, train how you want to fight, because you fight how you train. And that really goes with everything in life. Train how you fight, because you fight how you train. If you are a lazy if you are lazy with your training with your firearm, you will be lazy when you're in the fight. And I hope to God that if you own a gun, that if anybody owns a gun, that we never have to use them. But if you own one and you don't train with it, why do you have it? If you go out once every 2 months or once every 3 months, that's the minimum you should be training with. Find somebody who knows what they're doing, knows what they're talking about. Get with them. And that's part of this here is I want to network with some instructors that are around here, locally, here in the Port Angeles area, that will network and get people trained up. Because obviously this woman that was in Missouri, I think, she had no training whatsoever. He really didn't either, but at least he wasn't pointing the AR-15 at the people. She was pointing her gun at the people, and that is poor gun mentality. So if you're going to train for anything, train how you fight, because you fight how you train. Now, trying to make this short, but looks like I'm going to go a little over 15 minutes here. The God aspect. Everybody gets squeamish right about now. Everybody loves to talk about government because everyone's got an opinion about government. It gets a little less when we got guns out there, because there's a lot of people who just spout off and don't know much about guns. But God is the one that I think make people a lot more squeamish to talk about, because they're afraid to offend somebody. I am not so much afraid of offending people. If I have offended somebody, please let me know. And then we can discuss what that might be. I don't mind discussions. I like discussions. But if you're just going to yell at me, I am not going to listen to you. So a few things we're going to talk about when it comes to God and how it applies to our lives. Things we should look at, how we should deal with some things. And a few of these, I'm just going to give some, just some titles, some things we're going to talk about. Won't be in every single show, but I'm going to try to put a little bit in there. I wish I had I know my pastor's going to kill me for saying this. I wish I had my Bible with me right now. I don't want to leave this on the car and go run in the house while you guys are standing there staring at the beautiful scenery. So I'm going to look up a Bible verse that I absolutely love. This is the point where I'd say we're going to cut away to a commercial. And we're back. That was dumb, right? Yeah. My favorite Bible verse of all time, and this is something that when I heard, I didn't understand it right away, but I'm beginning to understand it more and more as I get older. Micah 6:8. He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. Do you understand we need more of that when it comes to politics and in our government? We don't have justice. Social justice is not justice. How much kindness do we have? We're to love kindness. And then we're to walk humbly with our God. You know what humbly means? It means that you're not the best out there. It means you are the lowest of low. And if you don't find yourself there, you might want to think about where you're at, where your thought is, where your thoughts are. I am not a perfect person. I was saved, or I should say God saved me, my senior year of high school. And it was shortly after that he brought me a wife. Me and my wife have been married 20 years. I got 3 boys. We have 3 boys. I've been blessed beyond all thought, all imagine, all whatever you name it. I've been so blessed to have 3 boys that they struggle, but they do love the Lord. I've been blessed with a marriage of 20 years to my best friend. Years. There's just some people who don't have that. That's why I look at my life and I realize how blessed I am. I don't have a lot of money. Money is not my rich. My rich is my family. My rich is my God. I don't need a ton of money. And the Lord has always provided for my family. Whatever that means is He has always provided for my family. And it's never always been what I expected. That's how good God is. Even when you think that He's not there, He's still there. Man, 20 years. I love it. I hope that you guys out there, that you guys get to that 20 years, that you guys get to that 30 years, the 5 years, the 10 years, the 15, the 20, the 25, and so on and so forth, because it only gets better. So I'm still learning as a Christian, when we should always be learning. We should never think that we know it all. We should never stop striving to be, and I'm more or less speaking to the Christians at this point, my Christian brothers and sisters. So I'm going to address them first, and then I'm going to come back to address the ones who maybe don't believe or don't know or are questioning. This isn't for you guys. This is for my Christian brothers and sisters. I hope I get the chance to challenge you guys, because I know I challenge myself. I want to challenge myself, and I hope you guys challenge me, because the things we're going to talk about on here are very important. We're going to discuss the gospel, and the gospel is Jesus dying on the cross for your sins, being buried for 3 days, rising from the grave, defeating death, and now he sits at the right hand of God. We're going to discuss those things. We're going to cover those things. And it's 4th of July around here. We're going to discuss those things, and we're going to go through those things and why those things are important. It's important to understand the gospel and how it's not only just important for us as believers, but it's important for those who are not believers, those who are not saved. It's a vital importance to them, but it also is to us, because we can get lost in our own lives and not remember what Jesus did for us. So easy to do that. A few things we're going to talk about. I'm just going to run through a list of them here. We're not going to do these every single time, but it's going to be throughout. So we're going to talk about character and why character is important. We're going to talk about why commitment is important. Courage is important. And all these are important. But I want you to understand that each one of these has a meaning behind it. Understanding how to deal with failure. Dude, this next one, forgiveness. This is like creme de la creme of dealing with. Because if we don't understand how to forgive, then how does God forgive us? Hope. We need to understand hope, because hope is one of the only things that we can cling to in times like we are living in right now. And if I get emotional about this, it's because I'm an emotional guy, and I apologize, but this is where my passion is right here, doing these things. I get excited about talking about government. I get passionate about talking about guns and why they're important, and then I get emotional talking about God. And yes, I do. You can ask any of my friends. Integrity. Why is it important to be to have integrity? Why is it important? Because those who don't know you are watching you, and they're watching to see what you do and what you say. And if any of you see me without any integrity, I want you to call me out. Another one, love. How are we supposed to love those that hate us? Mercy. Peace. Prayer. It's very important. Pride. How do we deal with pride? Pride is such a finicky thing, because pride could be almost anything. And it is the easiest thing to fall for, to be prideful. That's why I like this, Micah 6:8, to walk humbly with your God. We need pride killers. We need to kill pride on a daily basis. Because if we don't, it just wells up, and it wells up, and it wells up, and it gets this big, fat bobble head. And before you know it, you're believing your own crap. Strength. How to deal with stress. Kind of falls under a couple of these other ones. How to be thankful. How often are we thankful for things in our life? I mean, come on, we're coming up to 4th of July. 4th of July. And we got people saying that it's a white supremacist holiday? The 4th of July? I don't buy it. Don't let them take your mind off. Don't let them take you. Don't let them. I'm thankful for being in this country and in this nation where we can talk about things like this. And I'm not worried about some Chinese government official going to come haul me off to jail because I said the word God or the word Jesus, and to say that the government is not your God, the government is not your Savior, that God is God and Jesus is your Savior, and I'm not going to be thrown in jail for it. Spitting on the screen. Get passionate about this. How to show trust, how to build trust, which I think directly links to integrity. How to deal with anger. There's a lot of young men out there. There's a lot of young people out there that are angry. Because I think they're angry because they feel like they've been lied to about a lot of things. We're going to talk about anger because I think it's important, because there's a lot of young men that are just angry and they have nowhere to direct their anger. They have they don't know how to understand why they're angry. We're also going to talk about anxiety and how it's important to understand what anxiety is. This one's going to be fun. Authentic manhood. I kind of like that. Authentic manhood. There's a lot of mannies out there who are posers about being men, who try to tell you that it's okay for men to be women, and that men can wear women's clothing, and men can dress up as women, and men can play the role of a woman. That's not authentic manhood, bro. That is not it at all. That is not God's design. God's design is for men to be men. Men. So yeah, we will talk about an authentic manhood. And then ego. I don't know why I put that one after that, but that's kind of funny. Talk about authentic manhood, and then it goes to ego. So we will talk about ego as well, and it kind of goes with pride. I think they're kind of one and the same when it comes to that. But this is my passion, and I want to take you guys on this journey with me. And hopefully we can learn some things along the way. Hopefully you can learn from me and I can learn from you. Local channel wise here in PA, if you guys are branched out amongst the nation, there's a lot of you that are on my channel right here, on my Facebook page, that are from different parts of the country. Please look for my videos on YouTube. They're going to be pushed to YouTube, and then those are going to be pushed to the local channel here, so the people locally can watch them here. I'll do a lot of local stuff with people here locally, and I'm hoping that it will turn into something where this can go national. That's my dream. That's my goal. I've been wanting to do this since, oh gosh, close to 8 years ago. And I'm blessed to have people in my life that have encouraged me to do this. I'm blessed to have people that have discouraged me to do this. And I'm just thankful for all of you guys that have watched this video. I know it's a bit lengthy, and I need to get off here because my family's waiting for dinner. And I tremendously love them very much and thankful for their support in doing this. I don't have much else to say, but let's come together as Americans. Going back to real quick, because I said I was talking to my Christian brothers and sisters. Let's go back to maybe the non-believers that are out there. If you don't believe that Christ is your Savior, it's okay. We'll talk about it. And I hope that we can have a civil discussion about who Christ is and what he did and why it's important. Not just for things here, but for things there. I don't want to see anybody left behind, but it's not up to me. I'm to present the gospel. on the talk about the Bible, on talk about the gospel. That's what I'm going to do on this channel when it comes to those things. So if I offend you about the gospel, just understand it's not me that is offending you. It is not my words that are offending you. I will be using what the Bible says and what the Bible words are. And I hope that cuts to the bone. I hope that cuts to the heart of the matter. And I hope God reaches down and just tells you who he is. And I hope you can have a relationship with him. Because I've been blessed beyond all measure in my life. And it's not by anything that I did. It's by what he did. So, I hope we can have a good relationship, even if you don't believe. Because a lot of the things I talk about is going to reflect upon my faith. And I hope you can respect that, because I can respect yours. So, with that being said, and I've seen 4 people, 3 people, people are jumping on and jumping off. I know for a lot of people back east, it's getting late. But getting back to finishing up here, about 2 minutes. In the comments down below, please leave comments on what you would like me to talk about. Because this isn't just about me, this is about you guys. This is about what your lives are seeing and what questions you might have and how I might be able to help answer those questions. And if I can't answer them, I will get the answers. So, with that said, this is Triple G.